All right, here we are at ChatGPT's home screen, and I've logged in with my account. And one of the most interesting things about ChatGPT isn't the code writing; it's actually the prompts. So I wanted to show one that I was inspired by other prompts I see online, and kind of asking it to set up a scenario. Just ask it to act in the role of a Power BI developer. There you go, clean up my typos. All right, so pretty great stuff. So much more than I ever would have thought it would have asked. I would have thought it might have asked just a couple of prompts, but asked a lot. Now I'm just going to answer just a couple of these, and we'll see what it says. Once again, I think ChatGPT can read through my typos, but let's just make sure. All right, so just lots of interesting information you can get from ChatGPT. And but what about something a little more practical, right? We talk a lot about DAX and Power Query, so let's ask it a DAX question. So fascinating explanation. I really think that this is a better explanation than I could ever give a junior data analyst who was asking me the same question. So I think this can really be helpful for, again, for that learning curve. So let's go ahead and head back and talk about the next segment. So that last demo was a great look at prompts and how we can use ChatGPT to get more information about Power BI or use it to kind of inspire ideas on how to use Power BI as a Power BI developer. But now let's get to something a little more practical, and that is, of course, writing code. So I'm someone who I always write better in Power Query in M when there's something to start with. I'm going to ask it to write an M function for me. So what an interesting way that the code was created. And I have run this before this exact prompt before, and it did a little different this time, but the end result was still almost identical to the first time, which is always an interesting part of using ChatGPT. Now, I would say if you are someone who is a beginner in M, this should be you not easy to read, but I think you could follow along, and that's what's great. I think these are a lot of steps. I think I could probably make this on a little bit fewer steps, but the logic is there. It's clear. It's easy to follow. It comes with an explanation, and even better, it might teach me how to do something similar, but not exactly the same. But of course, if I wanted to, I could ask ChatGPT, and sure, it would generate something else for me to follow. Now, as we've already discussed a lot in this website, is make sure that the code is correct. You want to test it out. You want to use it, and then look and see. In this case, we want to say, is it correctly identifying weekdays versus weekends before you would put something in production? Now, let's go ahead and look at another feature, which is something that is just fun to demonstrate with ChatGPT. I think this is everywhere, but I still am just kind of blown away with it. And that is how ChatGPT can add comments to code. So we can say, add comment to this code. I'm just going to paste a DAX measure from a report I have that looks at Jira for issues that we track and enter. So you can see this is a total issues measure. So this measure was to show completed issues in Jira that are tracked. And I think what's so interesting is how it comments the code again, different from each time. I'm going to go ahead and copy this code and put it in a notepad file so you can see it easier. So now I've copied the code into a notepad file and we can see the comments a little more clearly. And I think this again, for a learning perspective, this is great, but also a lot of the comments that it adds to Xcode is good enough to production. If I were handing something to a client, would I hand them exactly this commented code? Probably not, but I would do this first and then edit this and tweak it. So again, focusing on using ChatGPT as a tool to save you time and make you more productive, I think this is one of the areas where it really shines.